Oh, the spooky Bilderberg and the Rothschilds running around in their white pointy hats are coming to get you. Watch out. Sacrificing babies to Satan and taking over the world. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Out of the Dark series, where I find a cool idea on the internet and I talk about it. And today is the New World Order. This should be really fun because I've done my homework. I mean, there was a while there where, I went through my research, I guess you could say, and by the end of watching all of the crazy Satan documentaries, I was like, that's it. We're done. They're taking over the world. That's it. There's nothing we can do. Everyone load up on Noah's Ark. We're heading to the island. That's it. Get out of here. The spooky Satan men are, they're coming for us. But I wisened up, and this was years and years ago. I wisened up, and, I did my homework. So I guess the best way to approach this is from two different angles, right? So I'm going to kind of approach this with the attitude that the New World Order is real, and then the attitude that the New World Order isn't real. Now, when you say that the New World Order is real, I think we need to distinguish what that actually means, because I think one world government is personally, this is just my opinion, I think one world government is inevitable. I mean, let's face it, the internet dissolves borders. When we get so technologically advanced that, we're going out into space and, we meet other alien species, which we probably will eventually, like, way down the road, we're not going to look at ourselves as US and China and Russia. We're going to look at ourselves as this is Earth, and then that's, whatever the fuck planet it is with all the little blue people. So I think one world government is going to happen. Do people do all these, like, billionaires, like, sacrifice babies and try and take over the world? I don't know. Probably not. Is the Illuminati real? Well, historically, it kind of is, but not in the way that people think it is. So, I think that a New World Order is inevitable, but it depends on how it's structured, right? Are we going to have one world government where you have, like, a few corrupt people running 7 billion people, and they're going to depopulate the Earth? Or is it going to be a New World Order set up through the people, and it's going to be just and kind and awesome, and we're going to try and push towards a utopia, which, let's be honest, that's really hard to do, but we're going to try and get there. So it really depends on how it's set up. I don't think there's any of this weird Satan worship. I don't see Oprah dressing up in a white spooky hat and, praising Satan. I just don't see that. Maybe, they come together and they try and figure out, your future. Maybe not. I mean, let's be honest here. Corporate meetings, that's what it's about. They come together, these big heads and executives of a corporation, they come together and then they kind of decide your fate. They decide what type of products they want you to buy. They decide the type of message that they want you to hear through lobbying. I mean, the whole idea is, I don't know, it's just silly and there's all these different shades to it. But for the sake of the argument, let's pretend that a New World Order is real. Okay, so that's where we'll start here. Let's say I had the opportunity to sit down with the dude in the Bilderberg group. And if you guys don't know, supposedly, in the New World Order, you have the Bilderberg group, the Rothschilds, and all of these, like, super rich families that are coming together. They're worth, like, you can't even count how much money that they have. So they have all this money, and they come together, and they're trying to take over the world. So let's say I had the opportunity to sit down with one of them. What do you think they would say to me if the New World Order was real? I think I could understand, because I think people are shades of gray. I don't think that, this billionaire dude would be so hard to understand. I felt the same emotions that Shakespeare, Hitler, and Martin Luther King has felt. So have you, and so has he. So, let's try and play out this conversation. So I'm sitting there, and, this Bilderberg, ancient, old, rich fuck is saying, okay, all right, Hectic, orator of YouTube, we like your stuff. We subscribed. I'm just kidding. But, in reality, they would say, okay, Hectic, what do we do? Right? We still have, it's 2014. We still have cannibalism. We still have rape. We still have necrophilia. We still have pillaging. We still have wars fought over silly oil. What do we do? Look at Liberia. That government is basically non-existent. It's in civil war. There's been people who have ripped out the hearts of children and ate them. People shit in the street. Cannibalism is rampant throughout. It could be a beautiful country. I think it's on the coast, so it has a beautiful beach, but it's just filled with shit because people don't have bathrooms. What do we do? The American government's not going to fix it. I mean, if you look at what happened in Fukushima, I mean, we're not even going, we're barely doing anything over there. So what makes us, you know, liable to help anyone else? And I would say, I don't know. I don't have the fucking answers. And I think this is what he would say, or she. I think he would say, well, me and my billionaire buddies have come up with a solution. What if we could come together in one government and we could spread peace and prosperity throughout everywhere? Of course, our intention would not to be corrupt, but if we could engineer peace and prosperity in places like Liberia, in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, we could stop this crazy oil war. Would you take it? And to be honest with you, I would, but under a few conditions. I would say, look, and I mean, I'm just one person, but I think the structure of something like that matters, because a new world order, it's just such a buzzword. When you say the word new world order, it's such a buzzword, man. It's ridiculous. I mean, people get this immediate image in their head. It's like saying the word God. You have this immediate image in your head of what that means. You could call it the world peace government. Whatever you want to call it, man, it doesn't matter. But, you know, I would have to say that it has to be ran the right way. And the current way that we set up government has proven to be wrong. Blatantly, inherently wrong. And it needs to be fixed. I don't have the answers. I know that, you know, focusing on the bottom line and money over humanity is just not the way to do it. So I don't have the answers. But for the sake of the argument, I'm going to backtrack here and switch topics a little bit. Or not switch topic, but switch gears. The New World Order could potentially be real, this whole idea of the Illuminati taking over. There is a little bit of evidence to suggest that this is true. Because, I mean, let's be honest here, you can look at the conspiracies and they don't go back that far. Look at what happened in Vietnam. Our government covered up a reason to go to war. I mean, Vietnam realistically should have never happened. If you guys don't know, the reason we went into Vietnam was under false pretenses. We lied about a ship being blown up, which is why we went there. Other people have said that we made trillions of dollars off of heroin. Other people have said, you know, some crazy conspiracy theories. I don't know, but I do know that we faked a reason to go to Vietnam. That's what I know. So that kind of points towards, well, why? What's the agenda here? Is there some long-term goal? Why would we just throw ourselves into a war? So you have to ask yourselves those type of questions. Also, look at the Northwood documents. The Northwood documents is another famous conspiracy that has turned out to be true. The Joint Chiefs of Staff of JFK's administration, they agreed to do terrorist bombings on American soil in order to go to war with Cuba. JFK vetoed it. Oh my gosh, I must be saying so many NSA buzzwords right now, but it's okay. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Promise I'm not some crazy psycho person. All right. So, they agreed to bomb, you know, they were going to fly a plane into a building, and they were going to do all this crazy shit. God, dude, I must be lighting people up right now. The NSA, this is crazy. But they agreed to do this. They agreed to do terrorist activities in the United States to go to war with Cuba. This is not conspiracy theory. This is true. This is 100% true. You can look it up. It's not hard to find. Just look up the Northwood documents on Google. And so that points to the fact of why. Is it just profit, or is there some longer-term scheme here? I remember I saw a quote from, like, a Rothschild who said, you know, thank you to these news organizations for not unveiling our plan. I don't know if that's true or not. The internet is filled with bullshit. That could be completely false. I don't know. But for the sake of the argument, I have to entertain this idea that it could be true. But I don't agree. I don't agree, and here's why. I'm going to try and come at this one with a different perspective. I think, personally, that governments, especially our countries, the USA, I think it's inherently corrupt in the worst type of way. I don't think there's one person who's kind of pulling the strings here. I think you just have an out-of-control system that is getting worse and worse and worse. We have an overinflated government. We give them so much fucking money every single year. You know, people argue about taxes all the time. Dude, they spend $600 billion on defense. What do you mean? Taxes don't mean anything when you're spending $600 billion a year just to find the boogeyman in the night. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So, you know, you look at, you know, the FBI, and they've investigated the CIA, and I think they kicked out the CIA director because the FBI found some really, you know, they found an email with the director of the CIA, and he was having an affair with some woman. I mean, it was just a bunch of fuckery. You know, the NSA is huge. Then you have corporate lobbying in Congress, and they have their tentacles throughout. and they're making sure that their agenda gets pushed, while the NSA has like this weird black budget that nobody knows about, and then the CIA has been accused of funneling drug money into the States. I mean, look, you can think this is all crazy and nonsense, but it's true. All this stuff that I'm saying right now is true. I'm not going too deep down the rabbit hole. I'm not talking about Masonic orders. I'm not talking about Satan. I'm not talking about reptiles. I'm not talking about any of that weird, crazy bullshit. I'm talking about the NSA being huge, the CIA during the Iran-Contras actually funneling drugs into the country illegally. You can look up Barry Seals. This is true. So, you know, you could say that, oh, well, that happened in the 1960s, you know, that's whatever. Look, the difference between the 1960s and 2014, socially, we have not evolved that much from the 1960s. So, you know, it's probably going to happen again. These crazy cover-ups, these crazy conspiracies are probably going to happen again. I don't think that there's some weird satanic Masonic order that's running the fucking world. I think that's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I think that's people making the situation more mysterious and magical than it needs to be. I think it really comes down to money over humanity and people really looking at the bottom line over what's good for the people. When we're going over and nation building in Iraq, but then we're letting Detroit and Camden and downtown Chicago suffer, what's the motivation there? Because it's just, it seems like it's all money. It doesn't seem like there's some weird global agenda. I mean, we're fucking ourselves in the ass over and over and over again. The value of our dollar has steadily been decreasing since the 1900s. I mean, what's really going on here? Is it really some grand conspiracy? How come marijuana is becoming legal all of a sudden? Like, what's going on here? We live in the craziest time in human history. So, for me to say that there's some weird, you know, crazy Masonic order, satanic baby throwing against walls, I don't know. But I know that logically, I can't put myself in that position and see how that's plausible. Yeah, there are crazy people. Yeah, there are evil people. Yeah, there are probably a few evil billionaires. But I don't think they've all come together to, you know, engineer some weird social destruction of our culture. It's weird. You know what I'm saying? It's just weird. But I feel like, you know, all of this stuff that I've talked about, from the CIA that has legitimately funneled drugs into the country, to the Northwood documents, which has shown that our administration has been willing to, you know, go after Americans. I mean, you look at the NDAA, which turns America into a battleground where you can be detained without a lawyer and without a jury of your peers. What the fuck? Why? Look at the Patriot Act. Why? Why do we need this stuff? And is it really necessary, or is this just the result of us spending $600 billion a year and needing to justify it? Is it just the result of a lot of lobbying that's going towards the wrong places at the wrong times? I mean, what's going on here? I don't know. I truthfully don't know. I think you can if I had to boil all of this down into one problem, if I had to try and find some silver bullet solution, which, let's be honest, is borderline impossible when you have a system that is as gigantic and flawed as ours, I would have to say that it's probably money over humanity. When you have the corporations who are pushing their private agendas into Congress, and Congress is operating out of the will of the corporations rather than the people, that's a problem. That's not Democrat or Republican, that's just a problem. When you have the NSA, which is taking way too much money that Congress doesn't even know about, that's a problem. And it's just money over humanity. I mean, you look at and then you look at the CIA. I mean, they're one of the biggest, you know, most powerful military institutions in the fucking world, and they need shitloads of money to operate. And then they need to justify that. They need to justify the $600 billion a year, because if they don't use all $600 billion, then, you know, what they're doing comes into question. There always has to be a new bad guy because of that money. So, what are you left with? I think it's a problem with money in politics and money in government. We have this amoral government and institutions that are running things when we live in a very moral society, or at least we try to be. I think that I don't have any, you know, look, I'm 21. I don't have any solutions. I've tried to do my homework. If you guys, you know, call me out on any of my bullshit, if I'm wrong about any of this stuff, feel free to tell me. You know, look, I'm a child of the internet, so of course some of the stuff that I say is going to be wrong, guys, but, you know, for the most part, I think it really comes down to money being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I hope you enjoyed this commentary. If you did, give it a like and a comment if you fucking want to. I don't give a fuck. It's just fun to talk about this stuff because it's crazy. Anyways, that does it for me. Have a good day as always, man. I like uploading this early. This is fun. Take it easy, guys, and we'll have another video coming out today as well. Peace.